welcome back to another episode of Emma's Eyecatchers in association with Boyle Sports. In this week's episode, I'm going to be looking at some key trends looking forward to the novice races at the Cheltenham Festival. I'm going to look at all the 5 novice grade 1s, hurdles and fences, and pick out some key trends there and discuss how they might fit in with some of the main market protagonists. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments below and make sure to like and subscribe if you like the content. Starting off with the Supreme Novice Hurdle on the Tuesday, you're looking for 5 and 6 year olds in here ideally. 9 of the last 10 winners have been 5 and 6 year olds. 7 year olds have won it twice in the last 20 years. There isn't too many in this year's renewal. 4 year olds haven't done too well. I think you're going back to 1999 to find the last 4 year old winner of the Supreme Novice, and I think before that you're going all the way back to the 70s. So there's a couple of 4 year olds in this year, Proactive and Macho Man. Whether or not they'll go this way, I'm not sure, but they're probably going to go off big prices and probably for a fairly good reason, I'd say. As is to be expected in a novice herd, you're not getting massively experienced horses coming into this here one. But you are looking for a horse, preferably with some graded experience and preferably who are coming into this on the back of a win. 8 of the last 10 have won on their last start before Cheltenham, and 7 of the last 10 have had at least one graded win on the build up to the festival as well. Probably doesn't bode overly well for the likes of an Eyecatchers or a Mighty Park if he was to go down this route. They're coming into this on the back of just maiden hurdle runs. You're going all the way back to 2007 to find the last horse who did it successfully. That was Ebba Zayan. He had some flat experience and a few maiden hurdle runs. So if you're thinking about, I suppose, Mighty Park in particular, it might be very hard for him coming up against more experienced rivals. He'll have to be very, very good indeed. Melling gave it a good go a few years ago, so it can be rattled at least, but it could be difficult for him. Favourites generally do quite well in this. I think 4 of the last 5 winners went off favourite, and the other one of those, Marie National, was second favourite as well. If you go back a little bit further, there was a few bigger price ones in there, but at least recently favourites have done very well. Irish trainers have won 6 of the last 10, but Nicky Henderson has definitely held his own. He's won 3 of the 4 for the UK in there. That'll bode well for Old Park Star fans. On top of that favourite statistic, he looks likely to go off favourite here. So I think if you're looking at the likes of an Old Park Star, a Talk to Talk, stats look good for them. They're coming into here with graded experience. They're from the right yards. Their age is good. Everything looks good for them. But if you're looking at the likes of Eyecatchers, a Mighty Park, they might have a few more questions to answer. Onto the Barring Bingham Novice Hurdle. 6 year olds tend to do best in this. They've won 10 of the last 12 renewals. And again, look, we're talking about novice hurdle. So similar to the Supreme Novice, it seems to be graded experience, and coming into this on the back of a win is very important. 10 of the last 10 winners have actually come into this on the back of a win, and 9 of the last 10 have won at least one graded hurdle on the build up to this, the only exception being City Island back in 2019. I think an interesting trend, if you go back further in the horses' careers who have won this, is I think 9 of the last 10 winners have started their career in either an Irish point-to-point or a bumper, and often have run in both, Imperial Pass being the only exception to that. So it's interesting, like it's maybe a race that gets tagged as, you know, one for the future champion hurdlers down the line. It can be a race for speedier types, and look, while some of those have come through it, like if you look back through the Roll of Honour, like it can often be, as you'd maybe expect for the 2 mile 5 novice hurdler horse who will stay a little bit further down the line who wins it. If you're looking at their prior runs, I think 10 of the last 10, they actually haven't gone beyond 2 mile 5. It's quite interesting because we have that Nathaniel and Lacey novice hurdle at the DRF, and you know, sometimes the winner of that can tend to drop back to this race. We saw it with Final Man last year, who went off a short price favourite. Good Land did it the year before as well, but no horse who has ever gone from Nathaniel Lacey, dropped back and tripped for the Turners, has actually gone on to win. They normally get fairly stuffed at a fairly short price in this, so that would kind of put me off Dr. Steinberg if he was to drop back for this, to be honest. I think that Nathaniel Lacey it's a much better trial for the Albert Bartlett, and Turner's winners seem to do better if they're kind of kept at that 2 mile to 2.5 mile trip on the build up to the festival. Onto the Albert Bartlett, a really difficult one for punters. I think 8 of the last 10 winners with double figure prices on the day. Favourites definitely struggle in this one. You're going back all the way to 2013 to find the last favourite winning this. Dr. Steinberg's in their favourite at the moment with Boyle Sports. Look, he's coming from that Nathaniel Lacey, like I mentioned. I think that's a pretty good trial for the Albert Bartlett. 3 of the last 5 winners actually ran in the Nathaniel Lacey before going on to the Albert Bartlett. None of those actually had won the Nathaniel Lacey, interestingly enough. Sometimes the winners can tend to drop back and trip for some reason, but Dr. Steinberg, although maybe the favourite trends might go against him a little bit, I think that Nathaniel Lacey tends to be quite a good trial for this. Age-wise, 6 or 7-year-olds tend to do best. They've had 9 of the last 10 winners. 5-year-olds definitely tend to struggle a small bit. They've only won 2 in the last 20. You're looking for a horse who has experience on the track, like with all the novice hurdles, kind of around 3 runs. You'd want to have minimum going by the trends, and you want graded race experience, but maybe more so with the Supreme and the Turners, you want horses maybe who had been winning graded races. Only 3 of the last 10 winners of the Albert Bartlett had actually won a graded race on the build up to the festival. 8 of the last 10 had experience running in graded races, but maybe you're kind of looking for that less obvious favourite and more that kind of up and coming improving stayer who might improve again for stepping up and trip. But you definitely want a horse who has run over some kind of an extended trip on the race course. I think 9 of the last 10 winners have run over at least 2 miles 6 on the track, so that's definitely one to keep an eye out for. That might maybe put you off the likes of I'll Sort That or Sortudo, who ran very well in the Lawlers last time. And it might maybe put you towards the likes of a Devil You Know, who won over 3 miles last time at Doncaster, and even like Kazansky, who was second in the Nathaniel Lacey, which tends to be a good trial for this. First of 2 chases we'll talk about. The Arkle, and 6 and 7-year-olds definitely tend to do best in here. They've won 9 of the last 10 renewals. You're going all the way back to 2004 when Welchief won this to find the last 5-year-old to win the Arkle. I suppose similarly to Lalamba, he wasn't beaten too far in a Triumph Hurdle before going on to win the Arkle the following year. But it definitely has to be, I suppose, a bit of a worry for the Lalamba backers that, 5-year-olds have had such a poor run in this. They're not from 21 since 2004. Look, Majborough wasn't too far away last year, but still, it's definitely a trend that might stick in the back of your mind. Supreme Novice Hurdle winners tend to do best when they come here. The last 3 who have came from the Supreme to the Arkle the following year have all won. Duvan, Altior, Shishkin. That's a great stat for Kopek de Board's followers, but not so great as maybe his experience. 8 of the last 10 winners of this have had at least 3 runs over fences. 2 horses have done it on the back of just 1 chase start. Western Warhorse back in 2014 being the most recent of those. Cheltenham Festival form seems to be quite important here. 10 of the last 12 winners, have had at least 1 run at Cheltenham, and 5 of those have won at Cheltenham as well. If you're looking at the likes of Kopek de Board's, experience seems to go against him, but that Supreme Novice Cheltenham Festival form definitely is a plus. Similar to Cargay's, she won the County Hurdle last year. She's ran well at the festival a couple of times, so things will bode well for her. Mayors actually have tended to run quite well in this as well when they have given it a go. So look, I think there's probably plus and minuses for most of the market protagonists in this one. Interestingly enough, Gordon Elliott has never won the race. It's probably a question mark about whether or not Romeo Coolio will go there or not anyway, but he would be bidding to be Gordon Elliott's first ever winner of the Arkle. Winnie Mullins and Nicky Henderson have tended to do best in this. They've won 11 of the last 14 between them, 5 for Henderson and 6 for Mullins. So it could be a bit of a showdown between them again this year with the likes of Cargay's, Kopek de Board's and the favourite Lalamba. The last race we'll talk about, the Brown Advisory Novice Chase, in which Final Demand seems to be holding his place at the top of the market, about 7-2 there. Whip Boyle Sports, good for him. 8 of the last 10 winners were sent off favourites, so favourites have a pretty good record in this, but 1 negative for Final Demand is 7 of the last 10 winners of the Brown Advisory won on their last start on the build up to the festival. In general, a mark of kind of mid-150s tends to be good enough to win this. All of the last 10 winners were rated above 150, and only 1 was rated in the 160. That was Monkfish a few years ago. You're looking for a horse with graded race experience. 10 of the last 10 winners had at least contested a graded chase. 7 of those had won a graded chase, and if you're looking kind of further back in their career, all of the last 10 winners had won either a graded chase or a graded hurdle. So a horse with a bit of class who stays well with festival experience as well seems to be key here as well. 10 of the last 10 winners had won at Cheltenham at least once, and 7 of those had won at Cheltenham beforehand. A few interesting stats for this. The Caught of Star Novice Chase seems to be a funny one. No winner of that has ever gone on to win the Brown Advisory, but a few horses who have finished in behind or fallen even have gone on to win it, so probably wouldn't bode too well for the likes of a Kit's Bowl if he was to head here. Second favourite in for this one, we've got the Big Westerner for Henry de Bromhead. Look, she has good festival form. She was second in the Albert Bartlett last year, but one negative trend for her will definitely be you have to go all the way back to 1995 to find the last mare to win the Brown Advisory Novice Chase. So that might be a slight negative for the Henry de Bromhead trained mare. But looking down to a few of them, look, I think most of the top ones in the market have experience at Cheltenham. They've contested graded races. Final Demand probably wouldn't be the one for me in here, but there's probably pluses and negatives for all of the top ones in the market. So that's a quick rundown through some of the trends which I found most interesting when looking at the novice races for the festival. Let me know in the comments below if there are any other trends that caught your eye that are leading you towards different horses in the novice races. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content.